This is the brand new Fujifilm X-T100. Now it's got a 24.2 megapixel APS-C sensor. It's got a 3-way tilting screen, and it's got a brand new high-resolution electronic viewfinder. This camera is definitely worth taking a look at. Now, it's important for me to mention right away that this is a pre-production model. So Fuji were nice enough to send it to us so we could try it out for a couple of days. But it is just important for me to mention that there could be some very minor changes to it, and the images you see are from the pre-production model as well. So that's just important to mention right out of the way. But this is a lovely little camera. We've had it for a couple of days to try out, and it's been really great. It's a fun little camera. It's lovely to use. It's definitely a nice step up from something like the XA5, or if you're just looking to get into like a decent mirrorless camera without going too crazy on price, it's a great option. So in terms of stills, it's got the 24.2 megapixel APS-C sensor, and that allows you to get some really nice, crisp, detailed images straight out of this camera. So if you pair it with something like the 18-55 lens, you're going to get some really, really nice images. It also shoots at up to 6 frames per second in continuous mode, but it's got some other nice features built straight in. So it's got things like 11 different film simulations built into the camera, which you can use as different shooting modes. So that simulates different types of films, so different amounts of grain, black and white, sepia, things like that. And it just makes for a really nice, interesting shot. It also allows you to get a little bit creative with the kind of things you're shooting, and you don't have to rely so heavily on post-processing when you get home. In fact, in that same vein, they've got 17 different advanced filters built straight in, so you don't even actually have to use a computer to get the best out of your images. It can all just be done in camera. It's got in-camera focus stacking, which allows you to take several pictures of the same thing, but setting different focus points, and it builds a composite image for you using those images. So if you're using a larger aperture, like a 1.8 or something like that, you're going to be able to set those different focus points and create this composite image, which is great for controlling exactly what kind of depth of field look you want to have in the picture. It's also great if you're shooting in lower light. You want to use the larger aperture, but you don't want to have too much depth of field, or you want to change that. It's a really, really great tool for a photographer to have in the camera. It's also got a very similar feature with exposure. So you can set a mode on here. When you take a photo, it'll actually take 3. One at the exposure you set, one slightly over, and one slightly under. And that actually allows you in post to create an HDR, high dynamic range image in Photoshop or Lightroom. But it also means that if you just missed exposure very slightly, if you're just slightly over, slightly under, you've got those other images to play with as well, which is a great thing to have for any photographer. Every now and then you'll just miss it by a tiny bit, and it would have just been great to have it. So it's a lovely thing to have in there, and the high dynamic range pictures look really good as well. So that's a lovely tool to have. Now it's got a brand new high-resolution electronic viewfinder in the camera, which is great because photographers love viewfinders. It's a great thing to have in the camera. It's lovely because it's an electronic viewfinder. It really gives you an accurate representation of your exposure levels, which is really helpful. But you've still got the screen on the back as well. Now this is a 3-inch touchscreen, and it's 3-way tilting, which is really handy for different shooting conditions. So if you're shooting over a crowd, you can just flip that out. You can still see it. If you're shooting down low, you can flip it out like that. And it's super handy if you're shooting video. I can't tell you how many times when I use a camera that has a flip out screen like that, it's such a nice thing to realize how much easier it's going to be to compose your shots and get the kind of thing you want to get. So it's a really, really welcome addition. Speaking of video, the X-T100 will shoot full HD at up to 60 frames per second. That means you can slow it down in post and get some nice slow motion in your footage. But if you really like slowing it down, it will shoot HD resolutions at up to 100 frames per second, which means you can get really nice, smooth slow motion in post. Now, it's not full HD, but it's a really nice addition to have, especially in a camera of this size and this price point. That's a really, really lovely thing to have. Now, we'll shoot 4K at up to 15 frames per second. You might think that sounds a bit odd, but it's basically used like a 4K burst mode, so you can pull images from it, pull stills from it, and it works really well like that. It basically means you get a 15 frames per second 4K burst mode continuously, which is great. And to be honest, if you're using the images for something like Instagram or something like that, the detail is going to be enough. So that's actually a great tool to have in the camera if you need it. So in terms of the way the camera looks, in terms of the actual body of the camera, it's very much in keeping with the other X-T models. So it's the same retro stylish design, same 3 dials on it, and very much the same sort of thing. It's very lightweight, very portable, very easy to pick up and go, so it makes a great travel camera, a great street photography camera. Yeah, very, very easy to just grab and go. You don't have to pack a massive bag, you can just take it out and go. So great for portability. It's going to be available in 3 colours, dark silver, champagne gold, which is really cool, and then the classic black. Something else to note, they've added in a mic jack to the camera, so if you're into doing video, that's super helpful because it means you can add in an external microphone as well straight into the camera. One thing to note, it is a 2.5mm jack rather than 3.5, so some mics will need an adapter, but still a great feature to have. In terms of battery, it takes the NP-W126S, same as a lot of the other Fuji cameras. I was out shooting for a good part of the day, didn't have any issues, that was on 1 charge. Fuji say you can get 430 shots on 1 charge or up to 100 minutes of full HD video, so that's not bad going at all. For the price this is coming in at, this is a lovely little camera. It's got some great features built right into the camera. It's got some great additions as well from some of the earlier models and upgrades from them as well. So definitely one to look out for. Now it's available in June, so keep your eyes locked to Park Cameras for more details on that. Now if you've got any questions about the camera at all, pop them in the comments below and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe for more content, and as always, thanks for watching.